Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and Supercoach Pro. Today's video we're doing a round 5 Supercoach preview. Now I do have this page up for a reason. Obviously here, even Damien Barrett is sort of questioning if there is such thing as a minor hamstring. Considering it's a high hamstring, I'm very concerned about this. My take is I just don't think it is a 1 week injury. The week after they play Fremantle and Perth, so I don't think he even gets up for that. Flying over is a little bit of a flight journey, so what I'm going to do is move aggressively. I think you can move aggressively if you have over 30 trades. It's not a bad time to jump off. In case it is 3 to 4, you've probably won that. But if it's 2, he's got the first bye coming up too, so he's going to miss, regardless, 2 weeks in the next 7 or 8 rounds, whatever it is, whenever the first week of the bye is, which isn't too far away now. Now, Doherty for Luke Ryan is one I discussed on my team review for round 4. I just think he's the most consistent right now. Hasn't gone below the ton. Bit of a pod in the back line there too, so he's got proven history, and yeah, I just think it's pretty easy with that one. Heaney has West Coast tonight without McGovern down there, and he has Hawthorn the week after. So I just think it's a move I'm going to have to do aggressively to climb back up in the ranks. I'm going to loophole McCartan's score if he plays well. I'll leave Hinge there, but if he does not, I'll put DeConning against the Hawks. So all it needs for me is to score over 50, 55, and I'll probably take it because we know DeConning can do nothing also. So in terms of VC and C, I went Neil into McRae. I think this week too, you could probably just go on. That's my watch list. We might discuss that on another day. But captain options this week, you're probably looking at potentially Isaac Heaney if you wanted to. Jared Witts might not be a bad one there. Jack Steele, even Sinclair potentially. Ben Keys against Richmond. Just some real left field ones here. Jaden Short against Adelaide. I'd probably rather Oliver against the De Boer and H-Tag. I think they probably go to Petrarca, but I wouldn't want to captain either of them, to be honest. Josh Kelly maybe potential to captain against Melbourne. I wouldn't risk that either. Doherty is the only one that stands out here. Zach Butters, if you really wanted to risk it, Ollie Wines isn't that in the midfield this week, obviously. He's been named in the following. Robbie Gray's back, so it means he doesn't have to play forward. And hopefully he's off his injury, so I wouldn't be trading him out. And I wouldn't be going early on Bruce this week too, even if you wanted to get one step out of the game in case Flynn performs well and he is available selection next week after his suspension, but just don't go early on players that aren't on the bubble. Essendon, maybe Parrish, you could go for a sneaky C, and Brayshaw on the flip side to that game, definitely a C option there. These guys, I wouldn't be captaining anyone from that game, unless you really had to, maybe Tom Mitchell, but even then he's only scored 1 ton in the last 4 weeks. But he is on my watch list, if you've seen that before, for a reason. He does have slow starts. That is pretty much the side going into the round. Now, in terms of Stevenson, if he gets named sub and O'Driscoll somehow keeps his spot with the ins they've got coming in, I might even bring him in this week. O'Driscoll, I only make 40-50k off that, but he does got 100 points in his system. And his cash generation is something that I'd really love to jump on. In terms of fielding rookies, this is how I'm going to structure up. I think Terry's more of a safe option than Rochelle. Terry only had that low score because if he had a cut on his eye and he barely got time on ground once he actually got back out there, Adams was back on field, so that doesn't help him either. And I think Hayes will just stay there. I could even potentially field Dixon tonight, but I don't know. He's only got 1 good score in his system, and that was against Collingwood. So I'm not really gonna field a guy who doesn't have great scoring before that, if that makes sense. That is what I'm looking at. In terms of team lineups, there's not too much interest in the note in terms of our teams. McDonald and Hall obviously going to take monopoly of kickouts now that Zeebel's gone forward. That's something to mention, I guess. McRae and Dunkley, captain options this week. I don't think there's too much on that game. Heaney probably won't play forward because Logan McDonald is a like-for-like with Franklin. Nothing to note here. Although Bowie J. Williams gets ruck to himself, you could bring him in if you wanted a guy on the bubble for ruck. He's 218k, scored a 40-odd and a 76, I believe, in round 2. And that was with a non-West Coast midfield. So not a great tap ruckman, but could be someone you could jump on. I think he's in 1% of sides, especially because Nick Nutt's out for 3 months. Steele would be a good option against Suns if you have the VC on McRae tonight and he doesn't go well. He's someone you'd probably look at. But where does Sinclair play here? So he's back in the midfield. Last week he played half-back role. Zach Jones comes back into the VFL this week. So it's probably a guy I'd look to upgrade during the buys if he's still continuing to average around 110, then I'd consider it then. But I don't want to jump on a pot in the back line when he hasn't really got proven history of scoring that well, whereas Doherty is more of a safe bet. Nothing to note more of that game. Gibkiss will probably come back the weekend after. If Miller has a quiet game, you'd say. Grimes still got a couple of weeks to go. So Gibkiss, if you wanted to sideways into O'Driscoll if he gets named, wouldn't be a bad move now, I guess. Not too much more on that game. The tag is definitely coming from one of these Melbourne boys. So whoever gets tagged this week, you're waiting 2 weeks to pick him up the week after, that's for sure. I think those guys are a bit of a pod. Is he playing all right in the back line? 500k. Anyway, Flynn's back in, takes Bruce's spot just from that suspension. So it'd be interesting if he plays well. Will they double ruck and play together, or will it just be Bruce for Flynn and that's it? Sam Hayes, I think, will get named in this game because I don't think Lyset will actually play 4 quarters with a dislocated shoulder the week before. Named him as a test, named him to actually play. I just don't see how he plays a dislocated shoulder. Anyone who's done one will understand what I'm talking about. It takes 4 to 6 weeks, not one, to actually recover from it. And Zach Butters in the midfield, which is where you want to see him play. So don't be trading him out just yet either, in my opinion. Like I say, these are just my opinions, so I don't have to actually take any of this, but it's just what I'd be going for anyway. So, in terms of the Fremantle game, this is the concerning bit. Driscoll and Erasmus, like if you're the coaching staff, you're picking Sarong, Chapman, Sam, and you're probably picking Wogue or Tucker. You're not looking at Wilson or O'Driscoll or Erasmus. I think O'Driscoll has subvest on written all over this game, but if he is somehow named, I will actually bring him in. But that is the team's pretty much done. And obviously somehow check it Saturday 5 p.m. I'm pretty sure that's when the teams are confirmed. But for now, Ward is actually named on the midfield, and McDonald has actually held his spot too, hence the green lights there for you. So that is the side going into the week. Sorry for the late one. My work shift's changed and they've just been all over the shop. So if you got any comments, leave them in the chat below and I'll get back to them as soon as I can. Hope that you guys have a good Easter weekend and stay safe, and we'll have the team review on Monday night.